Before we get to your scheduled video, please remember that likes and comments tell YouTube to promote our work to other people, and subscribing to the channel tells you when something new drops. You can also head to the link tree in the description to peruse my books, join us on Discord, or support us on Patreon. You can get episodes of Journey of Wrestling and Violent Profiles early, as well as a load of other treats. Even just $1 a month earns you a name drop for being cool. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the show. Greetings and salutations, fellow anomalies. It is I, Eric J. Chuckie, joined as always by the boy.
Hey!
This is the Two Nerds Podcast, and before we get into Spider-Verse, across the... while we do need to talk about, a lot of the changes that have happened on the Patreon, Journey of Wrestling episodes are only $1 now, so being cool, like Rob, a guy from Ohio, Passion Killer 711, and Distrucity, KTL, which if I've never mentioned before, I love that name. I love Distrucity. I love that word.
It's a great reference.
Yeah. All very cool people. You too can be cool for $1, and you get episodes of Journey of Wrestling a week early. The Violent Profiles has dropped as well. I believe that is only now $5, and you get those episodes a month early. And if you sub at the $15 tier, you can tell us what to podcast.
We have currently two $15 tier subs, and one of them has told us what to podcast. So instead, we watched this.
All things considered, I'm glad. Spoiler-free review of this film.
With the caveat that they warned us about a thing that both of us forgot about that severely impacted our enjoyment of the movie in the moment. This movie's really good.
Yeah, I would say probably one of the best animated films I've ever seen. Perhaps within the top 100 of the best films I've seen. Period. At least. Sensational. I recommend watching it.
I will have to watch it again because my emotional takeaway was very much impacted by a thing that the people who made the movie told us was going to happen, and I had forgotten because it has been years since they were told.
I mean, we were told, but I think that's the spoiler-free review portion over. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's get into Spider-Man. There was so much of me that wanted to start this podcast with "fuck you, Spider-Man." It took me a good 10, 20, 30 minutes and a couple of, ironically, beef patties that I had in my freezer to recover from the movie ending before the story did.
Because we, apparently, White has looked this up, were told by the people who made the movie they split this story into two movies. I either never heard that or had forgotten. So when they went full Empire and like the narrative just cuts out at like a down, very threatening moment right before the climax, and the movie just ends. It really impacted my walking out of the theater experience. I'm not gonna lie.
My mouth was open like a fish.
It was a priceless look.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I could bottle his level of what the fuckium.
No post-credit scenes, nothing. Just
movie's over.
Just a
fuck off.
Not even a gut punch. It was just sort of, I don't know. It's like if you were almost ready to beat a video game and then the power went out.
It's like if in the Avengers, the portal opened, the big fucking fish monster comes flying out, credits.
Yeah, and it's a choice. Now, I feel like you're giving them too much credit. They did say they were splitting it into two movies, but most of the time when people decide to do that,
they put a conclusion in the first movie.
There's a climax and a teaser kind of thing. I guess Infinity War is comparable in being absolutely fair, but I was mad at other things that film chose to do in the last 10 minutes. to the point that I didn't care if it was a cliffhanger. I was upset. Whereas this movie, with some minor nitpicks, because it is me, and that's why you guys tune into this podcast.
Presumably.
Actually, it's probably just the boy. He's so charming.
No.
But other than that, I thought it was a phenomenal film, and I was really ready to enjoy the climax of this movie.
They decided that you get that a year from now. This movie was fucking excellent, though. All that said, that emotional sort of roller coaster that just the two of us, went on, you properly armed with that information, the third act doesn't happen. They get right to the end. They get right up to the big, like, very, very teasing edge of the third act, and then the movie stops. I think you will be more prepared to really enjoy the movie, listener, because this movie's really fucking good.
I mean, in all likelihood, we are seeing this pretty late, because my own spider sense was trying to warn me. I'm not sure. You know, we both caught the trailer for it, and we intended to go see it
week after opening weekend.
Yeah.
Which is when we normally go see movies, because I don't go see movies on opening weekend because I don't want to.
No, it's just too full of people, and people tend to ruin the movie-going experience. Even in this one, there were some disgusting short people that kept talking throughout the movie. Although I gave them a little bit of credit, because for the Blue Beetle trailer, after it ends with Batman's a fascist, the small voice from the back of the theater, Batman's a what?
It was so funny. That was genuine, because after Batman's a fascist, there's a silent beat in that trailer, and in that exact moment, with fucking laser timing, this kid goes, "Batman's a what?" And it was it wasn't a bit. It was so genuine, and that parent has to explain fascism now.
Got a lot of things to explain, thanks to Hobie. That's all right, though. And a little bit thanks to what's his name? Jeff's giant head, shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So we just, like, I wasn't feeling it, and then you and I talked about it, and you said you weren't really feeling it, so we put it off. Last week was pay-per-view, obviously, so we didn't have time to see it then. We like to see movies on Sunday nights. It really fits our schedule.
Yeah.
You get the least amount of people. The
And
ticket value is good.
D&D, and
Yeah,
there's a whole lot of reasons.
It's a whole lot of reasons. But finally, we dragged ourselves to the theater and
had a fucking amazing time. That
if I had turned around and the projector was on fire and there was like an usher shrugging and leaning out of the window, that would have been more acceptable than what occurred.
We had a great time, and then the movie just sort of cut us off.
I will celebrate the fact that, if you guys have been watching the podcast for a couple years now, or you've caught up recently, you know that Gwen Stacy's my favorite Spider-Man, and I got her story.
Yeah, they just did Gwen Stacy. They did the character I will always refer to as Ghost Spider in my head.
Yeah.
Because it's a much cooler fucking name. And they just did her story, and they did it well. I'm not super familiar with her exact story, because I just never got into it. It's a cool design. I like Gwen Stacy as Spider-Man. I never really felt the need to know more. I kind of got the beats just from those facts, you know?
Yeah, whereas I did have the occasion to, legally? I don't remember.
Entirely legally.
Read her comics, at least the first issue or two, and I was really taken by her. And obviously the design drew me to her in the first place. But.
I mean, yeah, it's a great design. It's genuinely just a really good suit. This is the best version of Spider-Punk I've ever seen.
The internet loves Spider-Punk.
As they should.
Yeah.
That motherfucker is cool as hell. He was this cool the whole time.
That's the other thing I'm frustrated by, is that every time a new movie comes out, I somehow get a spoiler. They sneak under my door. Y'all couldn't spoil this ending for me? Y'all couldn't let me go into this with some kind of...
like pre-knowledge?
Yeah.
Like a warning?
Of all the
things. That's
things.
what we were doing for you. We did that for you because someone should have done that for me.
I think it should be seen in theaters visually. It's spectacular.
It's very fun.
Yeah.
And there's so many little tiny details.
Oh my god, yeah.
That on a small screen you genuinely might not catch. So if it's within your time and energy and budget and such, Go see it in theaters. Genuinely.
You don't have much more time on that, though, so...
Kind of get a move on. Because it's honestly real good. And I loved all the background Spider-Men. Except Ben Reilly.
I am willing to accept something I really love being done as a joke. That's fine.
That's fine. It felt like a mean-spirited joke.
It was, but it was like, I guarantee you everybody else out there in the comics verse is like, good, he deserves it. Because the Clone Saga is fairly lambasted as one of the worst things to happen to Spider-Man of all time. Perhaps the second worst.
Given what's happening recently, it has been downgraded to third.
True. I think there's a lot of merit in current storylines, but I think there's a lot of merit in the Clone Saga, in spite of it being really bad. So take from that what you will.
Look, I'm not a huge Ben Reilly mark or anything. I never really have been. It's a decent enough suit. And he's probably the only good thing to come out of the Clone Saga. But it's the one part of that movie that feels like it really loves all of the insane bullshit that has built up around Spider-Man over his existence. Loves it to an amazing degree, and I want to get into that too. It was the one part that felt like they were being mean. That they were shitting on a thing rather than embracing how silly it is.
It was the opposite of fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, you're cool, fuck you, I'm out.
Yeah, it was you're cool, you're cool, you're cool. Fuck you, Ben Reilly. You're the worst thing to ever happen to comics. You're cool, I'm out. It was the one thing, and it hit me wrong.
Otherwise, and that's my nitpick. That's my...
Yeah, otherwise, fucking astounding. I loved their take on Spider-Man being inherently suffering as like an actual force in the universe. There's like it's a big expositional scene, but essentially boils down to when you're Spider-Man, bad shit happens to the people you love, and that's just gonna be a thing. It's impossible to stop. If you try and stop it, your universe implodes because people stop reading your comic book.
And I said that at the time and thought it as I was watching it. This is Superboy Prime, that whole whatever Crisis on Infinite Crises storyline. God, that's probably actually a crossover. That DC did. I think this is a similar echo, if not better, of that sort of meta narrative context.
I mean, they do literally call them canon events.
Yes, yeah. I really liked that. And I think they pulled it off here without sounding too weird. I hope we find out more about why Miguel came to these conclusions. How?
I know movies. I'm an adult human. I've seen a lot of movies. I know he's wrong, because if he was right, what Spider-Man is doing is bad and foolish. The protagonist is being a fucking moron who should be stopped. That's not how these movies work. So he is wrong. Like, from a Doyleist perspective, he's going to have to be. I want to know, like yourself, I want to know how he got to these conclusions, because they're clearly going to be wrong. If they are right, then he's the hero of the story.
I mean, it might have been. Who knows? I don't really want to speculate. The same reason I don't armchair book. I would like to see what their interpretation is. And I am glad that we don't have to wait as long between the last movie and this one for this conclusion. Less than a year. March.
Yeah, so, I looked that up. That's the date I got. It might not still be the case. I don't know. That was from last year.
I mean, I'm hoping it's not going to be that long. If it's... I might have to rewatch the movie just to get my emotions to the point where they were. Because that's, more than anything else, that's the reason why I don't like the cliffhanger. Because you're not going to bring me to that level again. And I should trust these filmmakers. They've done 2 really incredible films, but I've also seen a lot of films.
I can't trust that much.
Yeah.
I can't trust like that. I'm too old.
Yeah, I've been through this too many times. Now, if I'm wrong, awesome.
I'm just gonna watch this again before I go see the next one in theaters.
It's entirely likely. I want to hit that emotional peak. I really went on this journey. Ironically, I had a lot of connection with Miles for personal reasons and what he's going through in this film. And again, just this character I like in Ghost Spider doing her thing, the part of her that is my favorite, no matter what she's done since then. That original storyline is such an amazing recreation of what made Peter Parker so good in the first place. And just getting to watch that, I was in a very ready to have had a fantastic movie-going experience, to be proven wrong in the best way about whatever pessimistic thoughts fueled by a lack of food.
It is the purest form of joy. To be proven, to assume something bad is going to happen and something amazing happens is like crack to me. I love it when that happens.
I usually don't like to work myself into the chute on feeling that way in the first place, but when you do get that reward and you get those endorphins and that dopamine and whatnot, yeah, fantastic. I was so ready to conclude the film, and then the film went, "We'll see you next time" on Spider Piece Theater.
Yeah, pretty much.
And like I legitimately, I don't mean to harp on this for so long, but I was stunned. I was rattled.
Well, I mean, it's your major emotional takeaway from the movie. Like, whether or not they warned us, this is the feeling they wanted you to have walking away from this movie. It's clearly what they were aiming for.
And that's two movies in this year, in this first half of the year so far, that I have walked away from feeling emotions that I was not prepared for. We watched some pretty, I don't know what the word is for it, pulpy?
Yeah, we're not exactly watching high art. I don't give a shit about the works of Martin Scorsese. We're not watching cinema. We watch shitty comic book movies. We watch, filler. We watch snack movies. That's what I like.
Well, yeah, and I got through most of my, I'm watching high art stuff when I was in my teens and 20s. That was when I was most sensitive to all of the steps it was going through, or perhaps less so, because now I watch those kind of movies and they make me really sad.
They've always made me really sad, and I went through a large portion of my life where I was not emotionally available enough to recognize when something was making me really sad, so I just thought I hated them. And now I realize they just make me really sad. And neither of those are things I want to experience. I have enough shit going on in my life. I have enough sad in the world. I don't need sad from the movies.
So, while experiencing a movie that makes you feel these things might be pretty commonplace for some of you cinephiles out there, we eat the popcorn movies, and this was a popcorn movie, and it didn't make me feel sad. It made me feel angry.
They took the third act from the movie?
They took it from me. I was eating that. It's like you got a burrito from Taco Bell and like your favorite ingredient somehow got sloshed to the bottom of the burrito, and someone just came by and snooched it and actually even said yoink, and now they're gone. And I didn't even get to eat any of that.
Eating that burrito.
Yeah, God, man, jerk.
There's we could do like a point-by-point plot recap of this movie, but there's not honestly a lot of plot that happens. It's a couple very simple beats that they take their time with.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And that's another funny thing is, on the way out, we were making jokes about why I wouldn't enjoy the movie. Again, wasn't in a great mood. We were being sarcastic, of course. And you submitted that I would be upset they didn't spend enough time developing the side characters, and I added that the central romance I would find trite and boring. And
instead
it was really, I don't know if I'm like super hot on their romance. I don't ship them or anything, but like I get it. And the side characters got a lot of development, not as much as like some films or miniseries, which this was a lot more akin to, but it was.
This very much felt they did chapter breaks with issues,
yeah,
like with like cover pages. So that was clearly what they were going for as well. As I state with most movies at this point in my life, there's definitely a case to be made this would have been better as a series, but I mean,
I don't know. Only if I got to have the other 6 episodes.
yeah. I mean, yes, of course.
Yeah. But I think this did really well as a movie with clearly defined chapters also.
Yeah, I really liked it. I liked the chapters. I really liked the cover art.
Yeah.
On the little the covers of the various issues of Across the Spider-Verse that they splatted down with like an audible little splat sound effect, which I liked. As always, the art is phenomenal. I like that all the different universes have their own art style.
That one Prowler looked incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the cage, I didn't think that our technology had gotten that advanced.
Yeah, it's very advanced.
That's the most realistic CGI I have ever seen.
I'd like to see more of that particular Prowler in other projects, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, that'd be pretty
He was
cool.
just very intriguing to me. I couldn't put my finger on it.
Yeah. Informative character, I would say, for Miles in general.
Yeah.
It had an impact on it.
The Prowler, very important to Miles' story. That Prowler in particular feels important to Miles' story, but you know what? Maybe we won't see more of him. I hope we do, though.
I feel like there's a good 75% of our audience right now who's going, they're doing a bit.
I don't get the bit.
I don't get the bit, but they're very proud of themselves.
They sound absurdly smug about what I'm sure is a stupid joke. And
that's a summary of our podcast.
Here's a little hint for you, listener. You're right.
Hey, a moment to gather our thoughts while I continue to talk about meta stuff. If you guys are listening to this podcast on the YouTube podcast service, and people do apparently listen to our podcast on the podcast service, I don't always put up new episodes on this service because we have a lot of visual, and I don't want you to have to look at your podcast. That's ridiculous. So if you like the content and have some time to occasionally glance off to the side of your screen or what have you, please check out our regular YouTube channel. We got plenty of videos there for you to watch. Years of podcasts. Too many. And not enough.
And more to come.
Yes.
Until one of us croaks.
Or we just go like, you know what, I'm done.
That seems likely also.
Yeah. Someday. You never know. It's the Game Grumps thing, right? We'll keep doing this until we're not, or we die, or something else happens.
Yep. I really enjoyed all of the spider people we got like a 2-second look at. It feels like it was a combination of a bunch of references, and they just looked at the art team and went, go fucking nuts.
I know one of them was a Fanon character.
Which one?
I don't know. I just know one of them was.
Nice.
So that's really cool. I imagine being that person. I would be so over the moon with myself. I would be on the moon. I would have taken a rocket ship full of spider people to the moon, and we'd all be on the moon having a spider party.
Which is, I assume, what the rocket ship going to the moon in the movie was going to do.
Who could assume anything else?
Who could assume anything else?
Was the rocket ship a spider person also?
No. All of the stuff outside Spider Person Tower is just Miguel's setting. It's just his universe. Oh, it's just 2099.
It looks a lot better than I remember from the comics.
Well, that's because that was at the upper city.
I see.
And then that's true. They burst down into the lower city, which looks like Spider-Man 2099. Which implies some shit about his setting. And the fact that his tower's on the top level implies some shit about him.
Honestly, as much as I think a lot of us would prefer Spider-Man 2099 to be more heroic, I don't think this was against type for his character.
No, he's a complicated guy.
Yeah, and 2099 is a complicated setting. And I hope this movie doing really, really, really ridiculously well might convince Marvel, the Marvel studio, Disney, the Mouse, to do another 2099 adaptation.
Look,
I'll go twice.
You know what? Fully agreed. If you put Doom 2099 in anything, I will go to that thing twice.
He's got to be legit, though. Don't Ben Riley him. Yeah,
it can't be a joke. He has to be a character.
Yeah.
You put Doom. Look, you put Doom in something, I'm probably gonna go twice. But Doom 2099, it's a guarantee. It's a 2 nerds guarantee, Mickey. You will get 2 tickets out of me.
You gave us Black Panther and you gave us Wonder Woman. This is our new.
I made a wish upon a star before the at the very beginning of the MCU for Black Panther, and I got that wish. This is my next shot. Give me Doom 2099.
If you can't do Doom 2099, I will accept Captain Ultra. That's just how I feel.
And Accord. You're gonna give me Doctor Doom, so I don't need to waste one of the shots.
Don't waste one of our wishes on that. That's in the works.
I cannot believe that I live in this universe. This is such a good timeline. Specifically movies only.
That's how I felt watching the whole Gwen sequence. Even when it concluded and we went to the regular movie proper, I was like, God.
They did a little short film about your favorite spider person.
Yeah, they did. And it was really good and really true to the character and well acted. That's the funny thing is, usually we stop and go, oh yeah, I want to shout out blah, blah, blah for this performance. All good. Even
Jason Schwartzman, great.
Yeah. Even, what's his name? Curly-haired man. Lonely Island.
What?
Yeah, with that guy from the Lonely Island. What's his name? He was on that show you liked.
Andy
Brooklyn
Sandberg?
Nine-Nine. Yeah, that's it. He was Ben Reilly.
Oh, he was. No, I hear it now.
Yeah. Even's him. Even him being mean joke. Good job. Yeah, there it is. Andy Samberg. I'm looking at Wikipedia. But I don't have that on the screen because you can listen to it as a podcast.
But they all did. Everyone did a great job. The animation flawless. There's so many compliments I could give this movie. It would be bad content if I just went through them all.
It would be the Legend of the Guardians of the Galaxy podcast, and we don't redo that now. You mentioned the details, and that's something that I think this film is going to be worth a rewatch or even a home watch, because all the little text boxes that pop up, I didn't get a chance to look at all those.
They were great too. They were genuinely comics explanatory boxes.
Yeah. And I really loved, I don't remember it being this strong in the first movie, but maybe it's just been that long since I watched it, but just the very comics way they set up a lot of stuff with the thought boxes and stuff like that.
This feels like a Spider-Man comic, and that's, you know what? It feels like a good Spider-Man comic.
Yeah. Character I want to shout out as well, regular Rhino.
A boring Rhino, yeah.
Boring Rhino, yeah.
He's just a very normal animal.
Yeah.
God, there was something I specifically wanted to mention. I'm spacing on it now.
I like this incarnation of Jessica Drew. Interesting, cool way to go with it. I like her motorcycle. I'm buying you time. Please continue thinking. I enjoy Spider-Man India. I believe he is new to this. Yeah.
No, I think he appeared in stuff before.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
This is one of those things where I should have done research. New. Yes.
He looks much more like regular
2004.
Spider-Man. Yeah,
wow,
he's very old. Okay.
Oh, all right.
Good for him.
Well,
I like this version quite a bit. That's actually ties into the thing I was trying to think of. I love Spider-Man as a legacy character. The idea of anyone can wear the mask is one of the most great pieces of Spider-Man world building that has come along since Miles Morales. And I love it. I love it in a way I never loved it for like Batman Incorporated or any of the other sorts of things you see like that. Spider-Man as a legacy character, the whole, different spider people all across time, all these different looks, all these different takes on this same fundamental power and responsibility story, I love. And I love the Spider-Verse stuff for it. I loved it all the way back in the day when, in my formative Spider-Man wasn't comics. I've read Spider-Man comics. I'm not a fake nerd person. But
even if you didn't, you would be a real nerd.
But
just a real nerd with less experience.
My formative Spider-Man was the cartoon series with the radioactive spider blood theme song. Mm-hmm. And the very, the end of that, where they have the multiverse Spider-Man thing and you meet Stan Lee, that fascinated me even back then. And I love seeing it. And I love seeing all the spider dudes and spider ladies all across the various parts of this movie. Just all of them look so cool.
I'm also glad that we're playing around in these concepts in films and TV shows. A lot of people, and I said this when Guardians came out, a lot of people think that your average viewing audience is too dumb or too stuck in place to wrap their head around even the smallest strange concepts borrowed from comic books. And the world we live in now, where we have two of these movies.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that's just we have 15. How long? How many years is it of MCU movies that just proves that fully wrong?
Well, and I mean, it wasn't that out there until around Guardians, where they took this
Tree and the
C-list.
Talking Raccoon, man.
Yeah.
Once we cross the James Gunn did it. Once we cross the Tree and the Talking Raccoon threshold, it's all open.
Yeah, they
all
realized
open.
they can do whatever they want, and we got a TV series that was mostly homages to sitcoms through the decades, and also a comic book. Like, I love that everything is open now, and I can have these stories, even when there's stories I don't care for. Which, again, this was a fantastic film, half of a fantastic film anyway. I'm glad we're doing it. I'm glad these spaces can exist, both for us longtime nerds who have been doing this since we were born, essentially. Those older than us who have been doing it since before the comics were that popular. Not many of those still alive, I have to imagine. And for those who are just getting into this shit today. To the kids who want to know what Batman is, what a fascist is.
God, yeah.